Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Fang, just Fang, back in another Fang Just video, and this is probably the biggest video I've ever made. I cannot believe it, okay? You guys gotta watch this. I have an exclusive interview with Sam Johnson, or Blind Mew. He is the narrative director for Pirate101. Very, very cool. So very excited. A lot of cool stuff. I added timestamps in the description, so you can flip to a question that you're more interested in if you want to. I'm gonna probably just put gameplay over the actual interview because it was an audio-only interview, so that's why you'll be seeing that. I do have a little part at the end of each question that is my analysis, so I'll be talking to you guys again. You'll see me on the couch again. I know Bonnie Ann's excited. I hope you guys are as excited as me and Bonnie Ann, because this is great. At the end of the video, towards the outro, there'll be a reveal of how soon the update is looking like to come out, and then also Sam did a voiceover that he sent me, and that reveals basically the story beat of the next update. So definitely check that out at the end. If you don't do anything else, check that out because it's very, very cool. But definitely try and watch the whole thing because I think the interview went really well, and thank you Hocules for putting it together. Hocules and Blind Mew, both of you, I appreciate you guys so much. And yeah, let's get on to the interview. Hope you guys enjoy. The first question: does the team have any more plans to improve the first-time user experience, like what you guys did with Skull Mountain?
The answer is yes. I know that we have looked at a bunch of things and talked about a bunch of things, but right now, the question, we're still getting our feet under us and figuring out what we can achieve on a regular basis. Right now, the biggest barrier that we're facing is tech stuff, because there's a lot going on in Wizard, and our coders are usually very accounted for. So, things like editing quests like we did in Skull Mountain is easy. But if we talk about seriously changing how the tutorial works and whatnot, that's much more difficult. However, we want to do it, and we are drafting plans for it. And so if things keep going as they have gone, and Pirate keeps growing the way it did last year, these things I think are going to become feasible. I don't know if they'll happen this year, but we want them to happen, yes. One of the biggest changes that has happened recently at KI is we have gotten much better access to much better data of what players are doing. And now that we can look at that, it is becoming very clear within that first, that opening experience, what's working and what's not. And so we want to hit that stuff pretty hard.
I know you guys changed the quest line on that, and I was excited to see if, hopefully in the future, it's good for first-time players to, be able to get something different and see something new, I guess. If you're long time back from Part 101 to see, oh shoot, the quest line changed, it's pretty cool to see that, yeah.
Yep, and it's funny, that stuff, it's weird because like old prejudices within development can die hard, and if you look at it, Pirate and Wizard both are set up to where you can purchase the content, via the access passes and whatnot. So really, you need to make a really good access pass. You need to make a good chapter so that they want to buy the next one. And the total amount of time you spend playing it matters less. And yet, as devs, in our heads, we had, if they don't spend at least 300 hours playing with what we ship with, then we're doomed. And so, I think that contributed to like a lot of Cool Ranch. And in the quest changes we did in Skull Mountain specifically, it was so that you don't have to run to, Ohio and back twice.
For Sergeant Shepard going back and forth.
Yeah, that's why we made that change. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're like, you know what? We don't need this much shoe leather. And it doesn't matter that, it takes you 15 minutes or 5 minutes or how much less. Don't care. Let's make this more fun.
Yeah,
And
it's the content.
I think there are places in the future that we have pinpointed, and we just haven't gotten to them yet. So there you go.
Okay, so we're back. How'd you like the first question? It's about the FTUE, so first time user experience. I thought it was very interesting what he said. Obviously they want to change it, but they don't have enough tech at the moment. Which just means, hey, we're doing other stuff and we're not planning on changing it yet. And it was really interesting because with Skull Mountain, I know they changed the length of it. And I always thought, that's kind of stupid, but the way he explained it, it's the same amount of content. It's just, I think he said, didn't he say, you don't have to run to Ohio, which, come on, that's a wild statement. You don't have to run to Ohio, but yeah, it's for the content. They might change the tutorial in the future. I think one of the things, maybe this went more towards the later questions, but was like ship combat. They should teach you more how to do it, because it's like, you don't have time to learn about broadside combat. Go to Skull Island immediately. So maybe in the future, that's definitely more in the future. So look out for that. I think increasing the FTUE is always a good idea. The next question is going to be really good as well, but I go further in later about the free areas, so look out for that. That one's also really good. Also, I just want to mention, if you're watching question 1, Sam Johnson has his own wiki page, and I don't know if you've ever interviewed someone with their own wiki page, but that's so cool to me. It's like a dream come true. I just want to mention that. I know this is an analysis part, but it's a dream come true. I appreciate, Hercules was the one who, reached out to, me and Sam Johnson, and it was so good. So thank you, Hercules. Thank you, Sam Johnson, by me. And yeah, let's get on to question 2. If you could assemble a dream pirate crew from the characters in Pirate 101, who would be your captain, first mate, and navigator?
Wow. So I think I'm probably going to answer this in terms of of character as opposed to game stats.
Okay.
Because I don't know what the captain of my crew does for me in game.
Yeah.
But I would say Bonnie Ann's got to be my first mate.
Oh yeah.
I would have probably Ensign Emmett as my sailing master or helmsman, because he strikes me that he knows how a lot of good ship stuff goes.
He dresses very well.
Yes, and he's Royal Navy, so
yeah.
he's familiar with how a boat works. And then I would say Ratbeard has to be my bosun, because the bosun is the guy who enforces discipline on the ship and makes sure that everybody jumps to. And then for my captain, that's a tough one. I would want Lucky Jack Russell.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
The Presidio companion, yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah. He strikes me as a man of action, and he can make decisions.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Like I wouldn't want El Toro, because I think El Toro would get bogged down in the details.
Yeah.
He would be so busy pontificating that I don't know that he could respond to a crisis. But I like Lucky Jack Russell.
No, that's a good answer. Yeah.
He's a fun guy to write.
Very cool. Yeah, that's a good one. All those companions, I actually don't really use Emmett that much, but all the other ones I'm a big fan of. I don't know why I've never really utilized Emmett in my privateer, but you said not with game stats. I think his character is very
exactly
good.
Yes. Yeah, as far as game stats go, we have toyed in the past with the idea of putting companions on certain positions within your ship. And if we ever get to a point where we significantly revise how ships work, I'm going to lobby the heck out of that. But, that's going to take serious tech. So that's one of those, we really want to do it. It's out of our reach right now. That's fine. Let's concentrate on doing what we're doing. So
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like the focus on getting more content to the people and then reworks later. That's what I've been talking about with like the community. I know they're like, let's rework this. I'm like, we should probably people get some content, and then further down the line getting
We'll
some reworks done.
yeah, we'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, there's a lot, with how old Pirate is and how old Wizard is.
Mm-hmm.
There's there's some significant tech initiatives right now that are devoted to just upgrading everything to a current level behind the scenes,
Gotcha.
so that
Yeah.
servers and everything else and everything are as good as they can be. And unfortunately, it doesn't result in cool features that y'all could see,
Yeah.
but it makes the game stronger. And right now, there's a lot of tech devoted to that. And I'm hoping, once those initiatives are finished and tech gets freed up, then we'll be able to do all kinds of things. That's
Oh,
my plan.
yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, you got to work on the servers first, make sure everything is stable before,
Mm-hmm.
adding stuff. So that makes complete sense to me. Okay, so this is where I mentioned somehow he managed to put a little bit of like leaks and like interesting content in every single question. Um, this question was just the most goofy question, but I somehow managed to get him to say that they toyed in the past with having potential positions. I can't say that well. Potential positions, for companions on the ship, and that sounds super cool. But obviously, that was scrapped, and it could come back in the future if once we get all those story beats done. Then you can start doing reworks. I don't know when I said that, but I definitely said that in their interview. And I think it's true in this statement, but knowing that, oh shoot, we could have had a really different ship combat. That would be really cool. I'd love to see that, because ship combat it's kind of boring right now. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So, no, and basically what he was saying is that they're behind the scenes. You're not gonna really notice this, but behind the scenes, they're making the game stronger. I think later down the line, they're talking about like increasing like the photo engine. I don't know, like for dialogue and stuff. But basically getting the game stronger behind the scenes, and then content will start rolling in. So I can't really reveal when the next update is going to be. You guys have to watch till the end. But because the outro is going to have a really, really good thing about the update. I'm very excited for that. But yeah, they're going to be doing all the behind the scenes, making sure, like, I don't really think we've had server problems, because I just don't think there's really anyone on the server. So I think they're just trying to get it stable, so then when they add new content, everything works as planned. I guess we've had Raja bug. You couldn't talk, or you could talk to Gandry, but their content wasn't released yet. There's some weird thing with that. So I am hoping that they're getting everything squared away, so then when the content releases, it's gonna be nice, smooth. It's gonna be great. I'm excited. I'm very excited. On to question 3. Would the team consider any areas that could potentially become free in the future, or for a limited time event like Wizard 101's free Wizard City or Krakatopia?
We are looking right now. I know that the way the access passes are set up is being examined.
Okay.
And I also know, I'm not sure if promotional free areas are something that we can do, because
Okay.
the tech is set up different from Wizard.
I see. Okay.
But I know that that's being looked at. But one of the things that we are looking at is where the pay gate is set.
Okay.
Because I know when we shipped, we had it at Jonahtown,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then we moved it back. And the reason that we moved it back is not because we're greedy, but because there was evidence in the data that we had actually delayed it too long, so that by the time we actually asked players for money, they had kind of, said, yeah, whatever, and wandered off.
Oh,
And
really?
so,
Okay.
yeah, and it's a problem that I hadn't considered. But I do know that right now, because we have more accurate data than we've ever had before, that there is definite examination of, okay, we moved the pay gate. Did we move it to the right place?
Mm-hmm.
And could it be better someplace else? So I would say, again, I can't commit to anything right now, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not examining that data, but there is definitely a chance that the pay gate will move further back than it is now. So some areas could become free. And with the promotion thing, that's a tech that's beyond me. I I can't answer that question.
Okay, got it. Yeah. I just know, like, I think what I've been talking about for the more free parts would let people like experience companion promotions and getting new ships, because I remember
Yes.
that's a gameplay mechanic that I feel like some people would want to see that they don't even
Oh
know
yeah.
about because it's not free.
Well, when we moved the pay gate to where we moved it, I tried to be really careful, and I kind of did all this on my own, so that with just free areas, you can get high enough level to trigger Bonnie Ann's promo quest,
Oh yeah.
and
Hmm.
you can do Bonnie Ann's promo quests without a paid area. And I was really insistent upon that. The ship stuff, I completely agree with you.
Hmm.
And at one point, yeah, and I yeah, because I think it's such a big part of the gameplay that we also looking at, you know, is there a better way to set up ship stuff in the game? Is there a way to revise the quests to more tutorialize it rather than, briefly mention it at the very beginning and then
Hmm.
throw you in a few hours later with like, here you go, boo, run around in a boat. Are there better ways to set that up? And yeah, and that's definitely one of the conversations that is being had.
Okay, this one is huge, so huge. If you've known my channel since I think September something of 2020, that's when I uploaded my first video first video that got a lot of views, I should say. Pirate101's The Sad Truth. And I was like, they need to make more free areas, okay? And now I had the privilege to ask an actual dev, hey, what's going on about free areas? And man, I my complaining worked. I don't know. So basically with promos, because I talked about Free Wizard City and Krakatopia, that works completely different. Yeah, I don't think they can really do that, which sucks, because, Part 1's the newer game. You'd think maybe they would have had that implemented, but I guess they did it later. So implement that when you can. After all the story beats, implement that so you can have free worlds for people. But anyways, they're looking at where the pay gate is set, and I didn't really think about this, but some people get bored, which, okay, I'm gonna be blatantly honest. If you get bored, you probably wouldn't pay membership at level 5. I'm just saying. And I think that pushing it back to Jonatown would be amazing. Pushing it back to even Captain Gun would be superb. Wow. You can just do Flotsam and then that's it. You don't have to do anything else. So they definitely are looking at some areas becoming free. Now, is this happening anytime soon? Who knows? I could not tell you. It was the most, I guess, not really default answer, but just kind of like, yeah, we're looking into it, but not really anything at the moment, which stinks. At least they're not shutting me down completely. They could have said, no way, why would we do that? We're keeping it where it is, but they're looking at it, and I mean, I hope that they look at it because then I can stop complaining, right, guys? They also talked about tutorializing ship combat. Again, I think I mentioned that in an analysis previous, but I think that that's a very good idea because you're kind of just plop down, and I mean, again, ship combat is the most tedious to do, like the collect 10, like my all side quest Witch Doctor, which I finally got to level 70, and I'll be doing more side quests if the level cap gets raised, which I might talk about. I will talk about that. What am I saying? I will talk. That's one of the questions. But anyways, no, I think tutorializing it could be a useful thing, but I feel like it's kind of wasted because, ship combat isn't that advanced. You just press some buttons and you kill ships. I don't know. It's just me. Maybe there's a whole thing that goes into it and people don't understand ship combat. But I feel like when I first popped in the game, 2014, I was fine with ship combat. I remember being in Cool Ranch, destroying all the whatever guys, the Toad guys. How did I forget their names? I haven't been in Cool Ranch in a long time. Can you tell? Let's get on to the next question. Okay, the next one is another big one. If you are able to share, will the next story update be a continuation of Sindbad's storyline, or will it be going in a different direction?
As you could no doubt tell from the end of the Marleybone story that we
Mm-hmm.
did, the Eye of the Liger plotline has pretty much played itself out.
Okay, yeah.
Originally, I had intended to let that go a little further,
Mm-hmm.
but given the Steam launch and given the movement in Pirate, uh, uh, we decided that what we're gonna turn around or we're not gonna turn around, but we're gonna veer to one side, change course, and yes, the story is going back to El Dorado,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
so it will be a very new story.
Yeah.
Uh, there you go, and it's going to pick up, from the cliffhanger. There's a decent chance I think you can tell what the next update is going to be about, even if you don't know where it's going.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I don't know that I'm officially allowed to say, but I know that I've dropped a bunch of hints, and a lot of people kind of, you
Yeah.
know,
I think.
have made very educated guesses.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Basically, I have the Ligers gone, and I will touch more on why that is on the next question analysis. So watch that one too. But we have confirmed we are going to El Dorado now. Not in this story update, most likely. I don't. There would be no reason because they should prolong it. But we are. We're going back. We're turning. We're going from Sindbad, and now we're kind of turning back into the main, El Dorado, which is good. Yes, that is what we need to be doing. Focus on that. I want to get all of Marco Polo's map. I want to go to El Dorado. Just imagine the day in Pirate 101 you're at El Dorado. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. I don't know what I would do. I would probably jump in jubilation. I don't know. But yeah, I think that making the story direction going back is just such a good idea, and I'm very glad they decided to do that because I was very worried we were never going to go to El Dorado, and I'm like, stop. You can't just keep making content, and we're not going to El Dorado. Like, no. Yeah, let's get on to the next one. Trailing onto that, it's part of Sinbad Part 3. Why did the team choose to bring back Rook, or Bran the Raven Lord, in Sinbad Part 3, and the plot twist of the message from our parents in Valencia being a lie?
The plot twist with the parents was totally the hook onto the new story direction.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah, and given that the Eye of the Liger was a crystal, we could tie it back to the crystals that were associated with the visions of the parents' ghosts in the past,
Mm-hmm,
and
yeah.
so it's that was the link that I pinned it on. With Rook, it actually that was an idea that emerged basically as I was writing it, because I knew that we wanted to go to Marleybone, and we were doing some stuff. And as we broke the story, and the notion of the bad guy being this tinkerer mechanic
Mm-hmm.
guy, because I think one of the sort of a side plot subplot in Marleybone is how they're not the level of Valencia with the clockworks, but they're very
Yeah.
technological,
Mm-hmm.
and with the golems and all of that,
Yeah.
they do the technology thing, and it occurred to me, hey, you know what? Rook died in Marleybone,
Yeah.
and what did they do with the junk? And I thought, oh, dude, someone could put him back together, and I was just like, oh yeah, we got to do that because I love Rook. He's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, Kane already made some dupes of him for the chess game,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so I thought, oh, this would be sweet. And he's not the same Rook. He's not nearly as smart, but I thought it would be fun to have a face from the past who was really really tough.
Mm-hmm. So is that canonically the Rook from the wreckage?
Oh yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
They replaced some of his innards. I expect he has a very different brain,
Yeah. Okay.
and they gave him a new paint job. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, the idea is, somebody, presumably in the government, took possession of the actual wreckage, and then Meow Yardy managed to smuggle that out and into the criminal world, where they
Mm-hmm.
gave it to Wheeler, and Wheeler spiffed it up.
Yeah. Also, the Meow Artie connection is just super cool. I just want to mention that I love that in Pirate 101 because of the Wizard 101
He's
boss. It's just
well,
so
he's
cool.
my he's so much fun to write. He's really cool. And I mean, part of it is uh, I'm a huge Anglophile, but I mean, if Meow Yardy is as cool as smart as people say, then what's going on in Marleybone that he's not involved in.
Yeah.
It's very easy to go to him and go, well, he's the brains behind it all, and I wanted to make sure for this time that we were able to do that again, but still make it cool and make it interesting.
All right. So the next one is the why did they decide to bring back Bran the Ravenlord, which I know. Again, I think it was either Justin on my viewers or Doomlord07. Thank you both of you. I know you guys were talking about it both. I think Doomlord was the one who was complaining more about Bran the Ravenlord. So I asked it for you guys, for the viewers. Yes, so Bran is canonically Rook. Bran is canonically Rook, and basically it's just Meowardy is smuggling somehow, even though it's completely destroyed, Rook's parts, and he's got a different brain or something, and they put him back together because, they could put back Gollum together. So this guy's very smart, and he put back Rook together, which, again, I don't think he really answered fully why they decided to do that. I mean, I think just because it made sense in lore. And yeah, no, the crystals were just completely to get back to the El Dorado storyline. There was no other explanation. It was just like, how can we do that? And I'm like, okay, that's exactly what I said in my other video. So I guess I was right. Look at me. I'm correct. Yay. Okay, so the next one is, what is your favorite world, either for its plot or to play through?
You may be able to guess, and your listeners will probably be able to guess, but there is no question in my mind that it is Marleybone. Both for its plot and to play through.
Mm-hmm.
I think I remember, after as soon as Pirate was going live, we were already working on the expansion, the Marleybone Aquila expansion, and I will say unreservedly that I think Marleybone is the best content in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I would make an argument that it's the best content in either game.
Really? Yeah,
I feel like it's some of the best content that I've ever created as a dev that has gotten to screen, and I love it unreservedly. It was so wild. I feel like with Marleybone, not just from a story standpoint, I think the art is gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know why, but like the stars seemed to line up. And the environment artist who built the Isle of Dogs, experimented with different technique that, he'd been thinking about for a long time. It's like, well, maybe I'll try this out. And so things like the varying levels of terrain and how the Isle of Dogs feels really big, but it's not as big as you think it is because of sight lines and whatnot. And just the atmosphere and the look and feel, it all, in my opinion, just came together beautifully. And from a story standpoint, if you look at Pirate at the beginning of the game, the characters' motives are all completely selfish. We're going to go to El Dorado. Why? Because it's made of gold. We're going to do this, and hey, I've got to do things, but I've got to do them so I can get my map pieces and get to El Dorado. And when it comes to the Armada, we've almost been running from them, laying low, trying not to annoy them. But finally, in Marleybone, the story shifts, and it's nope, we're going to take the Armada on. And because of our previous actions, bad things have happened, and so we are now going to atone for them by taking the fight to them and engaging them head on. And to me, I think that story element, I really like how it turned out. And just thematically, I think it's very, very strong. But also, I have to say that some of my favorite parts of Pirate Marleybone are the promo quests. I was sitting there, cackling with glee that I was writing a Christmas Carol quest where you get to be the ghost, And I was just like, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is awesome. And then I will also always say that I think Bonnie Ann's promo in Marleybone with Guy Fawkes
Oh yeah.
might be my favorite quest in the game, just because of how the stakes and the tension are so different. And Bonnie Ann rather is usually, this, she's the pirate's conscience, and she's the heart of the team.
Mm-hmm.
To see her broken down and ground up by the end of it, and raw, I was like, dang, okay. It's nice when, over the course of a long story, occasionally, you get to deliver a gut punch and see characters, you get to see them outside their zone,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that. And finally, one more thing about Marleybone: it has my favorite joke in the entire game in it. And that joke is, "What the piston?" Uh, yeah, that's my favorite joke. And so, yeah, I think all of that stuff, and getting to riff on the Guns of Navarone, getting to riff on so many other things, I thought it was great. When the time came to write Marleybone, I watched Master and Commander like every night for a
Oh
week.
yeah.
And then I sat down and wrote the thing. And yeah, so much fun. So there you go.
Well, thank you. Yeah, Marleybone.
Yeah.
I know it's a fan favorite a lot, and just the atmosphere and being in like an active war zone is just so cool to me. Just
Yeah.
like, and just going to like, especially like defeating Bishop and then like destroying the factory is like such a cool thing, and just seeing like the weight keep dropping, and just that was one of my favorite
Yeah.
dungeons just in general. So yeah, I can see.
So much fun. I'm trying to think. Oh, I also I know, out in the community, Wizard Marleybone gets a lot of love,
Hmm.
but within the walls of KI, it is not our favorite world. And so at one point, uh, I had a conversation with the creative director, and he was like, "Do we need to go to Marleybone?" And I was like, "Oh, dude, this is an Age of Sail game. We must go to Marleybone." And so, I made it my life's mission to make the Marleybone. We're gonna knock Wizard Marleybone down and take its lunch money.
Oh, you
And
absolutely did that.
yeah, that was my primary goal. And so there you have it.
Okay, this next one was the favorite world, I think. Right. You guys saw it, right? Marleybone. Man, I was like, what if he like says Monquista or Cool Ranch, and I'll be like, yes. But no, it was Marleybone. The most default answer, but obviously it's a very good world, so I mean it makes sense. I don't know, man. I and later on he said that they developed Cool Ranch first, which maybe you guys knew that. I didn't know that. But I really like Cool Ranch. It's my favorite. But it seems like it was kind of like a, test for everything, and I'm like, that's my favorite world. So, um, I don't know. Cool Ranch, very good. But Marleybone, and basically he said Marleybone blows Wizards Marleybone out of the water, um, and it's cool because instead of us running from the Armada, we're actually chasing and confronting the Armada, and that is really cool. The whole story of like, do we have to add Marleybone because Wizards Marleybone is so and then he's like, yes, it's a ship game, we're going to do it, and then it was great and most people's favorite worlds. Now, is it in my top? Probably top four. Yeah, 100%. It's really good. Now, is it not? Is it my favorite? No. Cool Ranch, so good. Monquista, so good. I don't know what it is with that orange tint. I don't know what's wrong with me, but that is just my favorite worlds by far. It's so good. But yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. If
Woohoo!
you could add a new world to Pirate 101, maybe from the Wizard 101 universe, what world would you add?
I'm gonna give you two
Okay.
answers. One of them is a new world, and
Hmm.
one of them is an existing world.
Gotcha.
I would dearly love to go to Raja.
Okay.
uh, and simply because, again, the historical significance, but also I think it would end up being a place that would look and feel like nothing anyone has ever seen. And I will freely admit that part of my trepidation there is that I don't feel like I've done the research yet culturally to do it justice. You know,
Hmm.
I would want to make sure that we weren't shortchanging South Asia, that we'd have to do it right. And given everything that's going on, I haven't had the time to invest to do that yet. But someday I hope to go there, even if briefly. I hope to go there. And the other one for the existing world, I would love to go to Grizzleheim, simply because I am a huge fan of all things Norse as well, and I it is a love I share with the previous head writer of Wizard 101 who wrote the Grizzleheim stuff, and he tapped that vein pretty deeply. I'm not sure how much good Norse stuff is left to riff off of, but I think it would be a blast. And not only that, but again, they are, a major nautical culture, sure, some centuries apart from, the Spanish Armada
Yeah,
and Admiral Nelson, but still, they're definite, they love the boat. And so, I think meshing them into the pirate universe would be easy.
that'd be cool to get a Grizzleheim ship because I know like the
Oh yeah.
Grizzleheim ship when you go to Grizzleheim and Wizard 101 looks super cool. I'd love to have that. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, that's a very good answer. I didn't really expect Grizzleheim, but that is a good one. I didn't really think about that. That the correlation with ships and stuff works really well with that. So it would be pretty.
Well, and the funny thing too, so to totally go off on a weird story, um, we finally got to add a Grizzleheimer to Pirate when we did the big arena with the pet training,
Hmm.
and me and my pirate writer went out of our way to make them sound Norwegian, the way
Hmm.
that Vikings probably sounded.
Yeah.
So he's very much like this.
Yeah.
And one of our QA overseers sent me an email going, "Hey, Grizzleheim people don't sound like this. They sound different." And he included a sound file from one of the NPCs in Grizzleheim, and talking all stern,
Hmm.
like I'm a
Yeah.
big bear in a fantasy world. Rawr. And the really funny part was, so right when Grizzleheim was getting made, uh, I had just had my first child, and the studio that I was working for died. And so I was desperate for a job and needed to leave the state to get one.
Hmm.
And Todd Coleman, the then creative director, said, "Hey, I don't have a job for you right now, but let me put you in the booth so that we can get you a recording contract and I can pay you a few $100 to do dialogue."
Hmm.
And the file he sent, the file the QA guy sent for "this is what Grizzleheim bears actually sound like," was me.
Oh.
it was my voice, and I was like, "Oh, that's funny," and I was like, "No, we're doing it this way because we're pirate, and we have enough plausible deniability." So if pirate ever actually goes to Grizzleheim, I think we will probably end up having some kind of mix
Interesting.
of
Yeah.
of the classic with the real world appropriate.
Yeah. No, I remember going through Grizzleheim. They always did sound like that. And then yeah, it was in the Pet Pavilion, correct? Or I don't know if that's actually
Yep,
called Pet
yep,
Coliseum or
that's the
whatever.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And it's cool that I didn't even know. I know you voiced a Blind Mule, obviously, but I assume you voiced quite a bit of other just characters in general.
Uh oh God, yes. It's funny. I voice a lot of the little guys.
Hmm.
You know, typically we will get towards the end of a world or whatever, and we've got the little minion who's like, "Yes, we will kill you now." Those
Yeah.
dudes,
Hmm.
and it's like, do we want to bring an actor in and pay them for 2 lines? No, I'll just do that one.
Yeah.
And I know there were a few times during Pirate when I had something very clear in my mind, and we just could not get it from various people, and usually it was like an incredibly oblique sound-alike reference.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like, I want this to sound like the Thought Police through the intercom in 1984, and they were like,
Interesting.
"What?" And
Yeah.
you know, we would play them the YouTube, and I still wasn't getting it. So it's like that. I think that's how I ended up playing Fool. Was that I had really clear ideas for what I wanted both of his voices to sound like,
Mm-hmm.
happy and sad, or happy and stern, and you know, after trying it with two different actors, I was just like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And there were other ones like that too. I think the head of the Yakuza in Mushu
Mm-hmm.
is me also for that reason. It's
I
like I
see.
have a
Okay.
very specific movie reference that I'm trying to make here,
Uh,
and nobody else is hitting it. So there you go.
I didn't even know you voiced Fool. I guess I should have done some research on that. Fool is such a
Yep.
good character, and the voicing is amazing. So props to you. That is
He,
such a good
he's
character.
he's fun.
Yeah.
If I get to go the way that I want to go, I'm not sure that we've seen the last of Fool. So
Oh,
it'll
interesting.
be great fun. It'll be great fun to talk to him again.
Oh, looking forward to that. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be fair. I had ulterior motives with this question. I'm gonna be honest with you. Um, with asking this question, I'm like, okay, so this is the main narrative director for Part 101. Maybe we can get a sneak peek in what new worlds could happen. No, not really. It was more just like what he would want to do, which is what I asked the question for. But I don't know. Maybe I just really wanted to hear Polaris, but I didn't hear Polaris. Or like Krokotopia, because like those could be the next worlds, but no, it's okay because these are some good answers too. Raja is interesting, and I didn't really think about it. I mean, obviously there's the Raja Ruffian and all that, but he needs to go to South Asia, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's far out. I don't think Raja would be a world that we're going to anytime soon, unless this summer you see Sam Johnson post that he's going to South Asia. Now we know what's going on. He's gonna make Raja after that. And the other one that I did not expect at all is Grizzleheim, because I said maybe from the Wizard 101 universe. I thought maybe he would say again Polaris, Krokotopia. No, okay. Grizzleheim. I think that's an interesting world, and again with the whole Norse mythology and like Vikings, yeah, no, that makes sense. I think that like he said, it would be easy to make it in Pirate, and I think that it'd be cool. It would work really well with Pirate, and I think it would be way better than Grizzleheim, because like the whole point is Norse, Vikings. They're like going, and to like be able to sail like a Viking ship would be the coolest thing ever. So I think no, it's a really good idea, and I think is it gonna happen? Do I really think it's gonna happen? No, not really. I couldn't even tell you what the next world would be. I thought maybe I'd get a hint from this. No, I literally have nothing unless, years down the line, whenever they make a new world, it is Grizzleheim, and I'm like, oh, okay. No, bro was giving me a giant hint, but I don't know. It's interesting. And a little sneak peek, which I really should have done some research on who he voiced in Pirate. My bad. But he voiced Fool, and he would love for Fool to come back. And again, yes, I'd love for Fool to come back. Fool was chilling at the Kane's fight, and I think seeing Fool again would be so cool. I loved when Fool was in the prison in Port Regal, and we were saving Napoleon or whatever his name is. I think it'd be really cool to see Fool back, and I think that's a cool story beat that might happen. I don't know. So yeah. All right, on to the next question. This is a little bit on the same line, but it's a little bit different. So, if you could add more, maybe a skyway to a pre-existing world, which world would you be interested in adding it to?
That's pretty cool. I can say first of all that there was a huge, not huge, but there was a sizable section of Aquila that I didn't get to do that
Oh,
got cut
interesting. Okay.
for expense that I would love to go back and do. But honestly, again, I'm going to give you two answers. One, I would love to see more of Monquista.
Oh yeah.
and also I would love to get to different skyways in Marleybone. And again, that's just me being an Anglophile. We talk so much about Avalon. I would love to give a glimpse of it.
Oh yeah, that'd be sick.
Or not Avalon, Albion. Excuse me.
Oh
Excuse
yeah.
me, Albion. But then with Monquista, we crammed a lot of jokes into Monquista, and we had a lot of fun with the monkeys and the primates.
Oh yeah.
I worry that they came off a little too one note, and so it would be fun to tell other stories there. And I know also just with the way that it ended up getting built, I felt like, by the time we were getting to things like promo quests and whatnot, it felt like there weren't enough places in Monquista to go. So we, I was like, we need more Monquista. And I actually have, there was a bit that got cut from Valencia 2 that dealt with Monquista on your way to Valencia before you ever got there. And that got cut for budgetary reasons. I would love to go back and do that someday as one of these pirate episodes.
Oh yeah, 100%. I am such a advocate for new Monquista content. It's like one of my favorite worlds. Don Quixote is just such a funny joke to me, and then just the whole dude, it's so good. I love it.
Yeah, it's funny. I've had lots of conversations with people over time about Monquista and the Monquistans specifically, and how they make fun of you a lot.
Oh yeah.
And they're always commenting on your height, and they're always commenting on how you're inferior to them, and yada yada yada. And back in the day, me and Todd, we just thought that was really funny. And I've heard from people since who are like, I think the Monquistans are a little too much. They might be turning players off. And I don't know if that's true or not, and I hope it isn't. But because we liked the jokes, them making you dressed up in an idiotic outfit and all of that.
That was awesome.
To us it was really funny, and we get to make the pun of monkey suit. So why how can we not do that? But I think over the course of the narrative, they got better, and I love Cortez. And I think his whole angle in there was helped redeem them a little bit. So there you go.
It was so cool to see Cortez actually become, the king of Monquista, and seeing how stuff was changing while we were doing quest lines as well, and just seeing that was just so cool.
It's hard to do in MMOs. And one of the things that is nice about Pirate, I used to, back when I was working on Elder Scrolls Online, at one point I was talking to people at Bethesda about, differences between, say, a Skyrim and an MMO. And one of the things, that I hit on was in MMOs, a lot of the time, geography equals chronology.
Yeah.
So this zone is early in the story, so this zone will always be early in the story.
Yeah.
And because Pirate doesn't fit the standard wizard model of an entire world, because our chapters jump all over the place, and sometimes you go back to old worlds and everything, and it was really cool. It was, from a behind the scenes standpoint, it was a huge headache to actually implement. And looking back, I wonder if it was the best decision, but it let us play with things, and another thing that's different between Pirate and Wizard is that Pirate relies so much more on instance spaces, because we tried to have lots of dialogue and lots of razzle dazzle surrounding the fights, and if the throne room of Monquista is an instance, then depending on which quest I'm on when I go there, the people in it can be totally different. And so that gave us an opportunity to have significant changes And I was really jazzed about that. I mean, part of the whole reason, that I took Pirate on, our mission statement at the very beginning was, well, let's see if we can take story and push it, because KI was very, very proud of Wizard's story and our commitment to the story.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, what can we do that hasn't been done? What can we do even better? And so that led to things like puppet shows
Oh
and
yeah.
the previously on feature, and then things like that too, where we tried to push the narrative. And from an implementation standpoint, it was a bit of a headache having multiple versions of a place that are all tied to one
Mm-hmm.
spot and
Yeah.
all of that. But I think the results from a narrative standpoint were totally worth it, and I'm very proud of what we were able to achieve.
Okay, this is another big one because this also has ulterior motives. If you couldn't tell, I totally wanted to see. Oh, what content would you add to another world or a skyway? Now, the skyway part, he said Marleybone, Albion, and I'm like, okay, very nice, very nice. And then he said Monquista, and I said, Monquista, you say? Monquista, perhaps. And I'm like, I'm a big advocate for second Skyway Monquista. Now, I don't know if he said Skyway. I think he just said more content for Monquista. We need a second Skyway for Monquista. Please, please. Because, like, with Marleybones, it's a circle. Like, it goes around. It's complete. Monquista, you got the two edges. Just go around. It would be so cool. It would be so cool. Oh, my. Do you remember? Imagine, like, they raise the level cap after they do this whole, like, story beat or whatever. And it's just, like, Monquista, like the second half of Monquista, it's like Valencia Part 2. It's just like, wow. Imagine that. I'm sorry. I'm just a very big advocate for Monquista. Probably going to be interesting too. And this is the one where I think, yes, this is literally what we're going to get in the next update. Now, if you haven't figured it out by now, cut Aquila content. Could it be Tartarus? He's like, I can't really say. The voiceover completely confirms it. Again, watch the voiceover at the end. It's like 15 seconds. You guys can do it. Watch the outro, because it will reveal when the next update time frame kind of is, and then the voiceover, because it confirms that it is Tartarus, 100%. There's no way it's not. At this point, I believe it's 100%. Rip Trinon Palace or whatever it was. I really thought it was for a second, but I'm glad it's Tartarus. But he's like, yeah, there's cut Aquila content, and I'm like, Tartarus. You mean Tartarus. So we're probably going back to Aquila. Is it one of my favorite worlds? No, but is it a forgettable world? Absolutely not. No, there's no forgettable worlds. I like going back to Mushu. I can't with Mushu, but I'm excited to go back to Aquila, see how that works. Kill Hades, perhaps. That is definitely too much speculation, but also not speculation, because you should totally watch the voiceover. It's very cool. I'm going to stop shilling that. On to the next one. All right, let's get to the next one. This is another hot question. This is a good one. I'm interested to hear what you have to say for this. Fans often come up with creative theories. Have you heard any particularly amusing or unexpected fan theories about the game's narrative that made you smile?
I have to say that there was a recent one that really made me smile. When the most recent round of data mining happened, and people were looking at quest names, the A Question of Time came up, and people went and found novels, et cetera, and I was just like, you guys are working too hard. And that made me laugh. What has I wouldn't say the things that really make me happy are when I see theories about the grand arc of the game. Back in the day when I was looking, at threads and whatnot, and people were actually very on target with what we were going to do. Even if I hadn't dropped hints, people were like, "Oh, I bet this is going to happen," and that would always make me go, "You're paying attention."
Yeah.
But yeah, that sadly I can't remember any from the old days, but that recent one, that made me happy. I was just
Yeah.
like, oh man, okay, they found some British novel that was about this and this and this, and I'm like, guys, whoa,
Yeah.
but that's okay. And for the record, A Question of Time is a Depeche Mode song off Black Celebration, which I listened to a lot while I was in high school. And so there you go.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I've
Yeah.
never. Yeah, some people might try too hard on stuff. Like it's not that deep, and I think that's funny. That
Well, sometimes we get deep, which
Yeah.
which makes me happy, And in Wizard, uh, all the speculation, in and through Arc 4 was very very rewarding.
Yeah.
I don't think in Pirate that we ever got strange enough to provoke that kind of stuff. But hey, it's been great.
Okay. I don't really have much to say for this one. Um, it's just data miners being interesting. I think that first of all, mentioning data miners was a very interesting thing to do. And apparently they worked too hard and thought too deep about a topic, and I'm like, okay, so they're thinking too deep, and he's like, no, they just thought too deep on that, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fair. So good job, data miners. I can't endorse you still, but good job. You got mentioned in the Just Fang interview. Let's go on to the next one. There really wasn't too much for that. But yeah, let's go. Pirate101's main storyline has gone past the level cap of 70. Has there been any talk about potentially increasing the level cap?
Yes, it is widely acknowledged as one of the things that we need to do the most. And there are some system things that are tied into that, which are outside of my realm. But I'm told that they are pretty tricky. That basically they want to look at all of the power curves and where everything ended up, and the role of gear and all of that stuff, and they want to make sure that we don't want to get to a point where even though we're increasing the level, the power is maxed out and there's not really anything else we can do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm told that the main barrier there right now is one of it's a systems thing that design is chewing on, and I know that they are chewing on it. So we definitely have plans to do that. I can't give you a timeline, but that needs to happen.
Yeah, because what I've heard is you guys are making a world's worth of content without increasing the world, and I'm like, maybe a level cap should be in place. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Oh yeah,
but...
no. We got to get you levels, and part of it is too. We're finding out how big or how small these episodes are, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, well, how many levels should you get from an episode? Well, I think we need to put an episode or two out, and then we'll get a feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it one level? Is it two? I don't. 5 feels like too much, but let's see. And so there's still some learning going on there.
That's good to hear. It's good that you guys haven't completely shut that down, because I was worried that
Oh no,
there wasn't gonna be a level cap upgrade. That's good. I'm excited to see that.
no. To quote Hamlet, the readiness is all.
Okay.
It's getting to the point where we can accomplish it in a way that won't totally disrupt other things,
Mm-hmm.
or paint us into future corners. That's the concern right now. Not do we want to do it? We want to do it.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
The trick is going to be doing it right.
Gotcha. Good. Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This, alongside with the free areas, was the most important ones to me. So if you're watching this, you skipped, didn't you? Unless you didn't. And how are you handling it? How's it going? I hope you're liking my Pirate101 gameplay, because it's probably just like gameplay overlaid. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. Probably because, yeah. Anyways, They're thinking about it. They're thinking about raising the level cap. For some reason, in a KI Live, or at least I watched the Amoplex's like pace bin, they're like, some people are debating for it or against it. No, it's all talk of, yes, we need to increase it. It's just how much, and how, it's going to be tricky to do that. And I'm like, okay. But I was actually like, uh-oh, you said by 1 or 2 levels. No, let's increase it by 5. I know that's a lot. That's a lot to ask. But I know increasing by 1 or 2 levels, you don't have to make new gear, but you have to make maybe 1 power. Probably not by 1 level, but by 2 levels. But no, we if you're gonna raise the level cap, either don't raise it or raise it by 5. Okay, I feel like it's that thing where it's like, hey, either let's wait or let's get a bunch of new content. You know, I don't want to have this like iffy. Like the jump from 65 was to 70 was massive. Let's do that again when there's more content. Like he said, an episode or 2 may have to come out before they raise the level cap. An episode or 2, that's got to be plenty of content to get to level 5, is it not? Maybe I'm just being weird, but like I'm pretty sure it is. Unless it's not, then I don't know, and I don't know how Part 1 works, I guess. But let's hope that level cap gets increased, and I'm hoping by 5. It's not looking like it would be by 5, but you know, one can always hope, right? What is your favorite class to play, and what class is your favorite to design new content for?
Musketeer is my favorite class.
Yes.
And in fact, I will say it must be something about how my brain works.
Mm-hmm.
But when I try to play other classes, I just don't do very well. And you know, I think the toys that Musketeers play with the AOE's and the bombs, and the barricades and you know the map alteration stuff, I just think that's very 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 cool.
100%.
So you know, I've tried to play Buccaneer, and I'm like, did I just run up and hit people?
Yep.
But and in terms of designing, you know, specific content for them, that tends to stray a little bit more into system, which is beyond my ken.
Okay.
From my standpoint, in pure narrative, you know, the class-based content that I'm doing for either trainer quests or specific promo quests for specific characters, that doesn't really matter to me. You know, it's all the same at my end. But in terms of you know, under the hood and all of that stuff, it's definitely Musketeer.
Gotcha. Perfect. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever watched any of my. I mean, maybe, but I'm a huge Musketeer fan, so that was good to hear. I'm glad.
Oh yeah, love them.
Okay, so this one, I literally just wrote down one thing: Musketeer best class. Now, news update. I think Musketeer's great. You know, Just Fang is the Musketeer advocate. But Privateer is quite nice. Now, any of you Privateer mains, I feel you. I mean, I now have every level 70 not character, but every single level 70 max. Privateer's pretty good. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I still love Musketeer with a passion, and he loves Musketeer, but it almost made it seem like he loves Musketeer because he can't play any other class, which makes it seem like Musketeer's easy. So, no, stop. It takes the most skill. You know, you have to have the enemies walk up to you, and then they automatically die because you have Overwatch 4 and Double Tap 5. You know, obviously it takes the most skill. Musketeer. Yeah, that's really all I have for that one. There isn't really too much analysis for that. I think that it's interesting. And then the new content for it, I guess it doesn't really matter. Like the promo, I thought, you know, there's the power quest and stuff, but it's all kind of the same thing. So nothing interesting in that, unfortunately. But let's get on to the next one. Pirate101's game direction has changed over the years. Were there any major changes in the game's narrative that you didn't initially plan but added?
Well, the obvious one was the ending of Valencia 2, much to my regret. But other things that happened, I can tell you that as we went on, there were some things that changed during development that created hassles and headaches, but we barreled through it. For instance, at the very, very beginning, a lot of stuff was based on, well, we did it like this in Wizard and it's clearly working, so we'll do it like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for instance, well, in Wizard we have streets, and in Pirate we have skyways. So a world, Ravenwood has 5 streets, so a world must have 5
Oh yeah.
skyways. And we did Cool Ranch first
Oh, okay.
because you never do your first world first. You learn all your lessons, and you do a later world first
Mm-hmm.
because the beginning is too important to uh, to do first,
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to end up with shortcomings. So we did Cool Ranch first, and we're like, yes, 5 skyways, and we're like, wow, 5 skyways is a lot.
Yeah.
And we didn't take into account that, well, if a skyway is a street, then what's an island? And and all of this and all of that. So it's like Cool Ranch was very, very big, and we're like,
Yeah.
okay, let's take a break and go back to a Skull Island skyway. Let's do Port Regal, and we're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, and so that we did all of that, and then the war between Valencia and Marleybone pretty much emerged from that decision. That hadn't been
Interesting.
part of the big, that hadn't been part of the big outline up to that point. And we knew we were rescuing Mustang Sally, and we knew we were doing stuff, and I was like, what'd be really cool is if we did this. And I activated that story knowing that it would have, and I was like, it could have consequences when we get to Marleybone. So that whole thing, arose from a not design-based decision, but a dev situation, and
Interesting.
it's interesting how that worked out. And the other thing too was the inclusion of the companion dialogue. Because
Mm-hmm.
at first we were, again, just like Wizard, we figured we would have a narrator. And
Yeah.
we were like, well, who should the narrator be? Should it be Boochbeard? Should it be Gendry? And we were like, I don't know. And the idea came up, what if we let your companions be the narrator? And we were like, ooh, which companions? And we're like, what if we let a bunch of them be the narrator? And I ended up having to go back and write in companion dialogue for all of Cool Ranch
I
after
see.
Cool Ranch was done, hundreds of lines,
Yeah.
and it was a real pain, but boy, it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think from that, all of a sudden, the promo quest became something much more involved and intricate than they had been before,
Yeah.
because now all of a sudden we had a foundation of character for all of these characters that we wouldn't have otherwise had. Instead of teaching you what kind of person Ratbeard is, or not Ratbeard, because we had him as an NPC,
Mm-hmm.
but teaching you what kind of person Lucky Jack Russell is,
Yeah.
just during his promo quests. Well, we have all of his in-game dialogue as well, so what kind of person he is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, so now let's talk about where he came from, or this or that, or his past. And that freed us up to do that, which was really cool.
Yeah, 100%. That's another aspect of the story that I just really like, is just and like the companions talking to each other, and like discussing like what to do and stuff, and then
Oh
cracking
yeah,
jokes and
uh,
whatnot. It's funny.
yeah. We had not anticipated that, and it ended up being a raw expense because all of that stuff is VO.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in terms of the overall effect on the narrative, it was so worth it. It
Oh yeah.
is a expense that I am completely willing to engage.
Mm-hmm.
I think again, there's a question of degree. Going forward with the episodes, fewer companions will probably talk, but companions will talk.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And how much they talk is again something we're going to figure out. But I think they're going to talk a decent amount. Those first Sindbad episodes, you could kind of tell that nobody was talking. But in the Marleybone one, I think we finally hit what we wanted to do. And in the next episode, there's lots of companion chatter, so
Ooh,
gonna be fun.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's exciting. Okay, so this one was actually very interesting. So they first developed Cool Ranch, like I said, that was very interesting to me. And they based the beginning on Wiz Streets for Skyways, which I'm like, hold on, Wiz Streets are like much smaller than Skyways. What are you talking about? So I guess they were like, hey guys, let's make 5 Skyways because there's 5 streets in Wizard City. Could you imagine how many Skyways there would be if, like, what is it? Isn't Chrysalis the longest one? That would be insane. That would be the biggest world in any video game, I swear. It'd be like Cool Ranch times, is it like times 4? I don't know. That's like a mental amount of Skyways. But that's very interesting that they made that correlation, because, like, yeah, what are islands then, you know? So I'm glad they kind of lowered that. Do I think 1 Skyway is good enough for a world? No. I guess Marleybone did it right, but Monkista, come on, guys. Come on. Please, please, please. But I love Cool Ranch. I love questing through Cool Ranch. I'm a Cool Ranch fan. And people who hate Cool Ranch, I feel really bad for you because it is a very long world. I love it. So, and Port Regal, apparently, when Port Regal was created, they kind of developed that Armada versus Marleybone kind of thing. So that wasn't an initial plan, and that's a big plot line, especially in Marleybone. They're at war and you take them down. I think that's really cool. And they were gonna have a normal narrator, but they ended up going for the companions to be talking, and I guess that is a lot of work, to be honest. But it definitely paid off because I love all the little companion talks, and I think it gives a lot of character to the game. And I mean, I like it, so everyone else must like it, right? I don't know. And then we got confirmation that fewer companions will talk in the future episodes, but they will talk. But then he said, but in the next episode, there is a lot of companion chatter. So it looks like in the future they're going to tone it down, but lots of stuff for the next one. I'm excited. This should be exciting. I'm thrilled. I've not been this excited for an update in quite a while. It seems super good, and I think it's going to be really good, so I'm excited. Every project comes with its unique challenges. Can you share a particularly challenging aspect of the narrative design for Pirate 101 and how the team overcame it?
A big challenge that we had, and part of this is my fault, was we wanted to tell, instead of a world-based episodic story, we wanted to tell something that was more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
So, stories that loop around, that go to previous worlds, or that'll hop to a world and then go back for a long time, to the point where on an access path, we had to invent the tech to key individual interiors to an access path. Because, okay, well, in chapter 3, you go to these places, and, we don't want you going to them until then. Mm-hmm. So, it added depth to world building, because someone has to go through and key the access passes and make sure that all the places are there and make sure that it's all correct. And it's, it's more QA from there. So that was a challenge that we raised, because we didn't want to do, the world-based model that Wizard did.
Mm-hmm.
It was a hassle. But, I think we ended up with a narrative that had a very different flavor, and so I think we were successful. The other challenge that I had, and again, I came in wanting to do more narrative stuff. Mm-hmm. I wanted the quest giver to leave after you talk to them, so that the quest giver is gone. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to have more companion dialogue. And we realized that, in some places we needed some dialogue to explain things. And the best way to break up that dialogue is to have two different characters deliver it to you.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, then we need a situation where, we have a system where a camera can focus on one guy and then move to the other guy,
Mm-hmm.
or your companions, when they speak, they appear right next to you and you see them, and just you, the player, see them. Other people walking by don't.
Yeah.
So there were entire technologies that arose to suit how we wanted to structure that dialogue. And the other thing that we ran into was basically with again how we used instances. I wanted a lot of stuff to happen within within a given encounter or whatever. I wanted dialogue before, I wanted dialogue after, I wanted you to use an object and kick off a little thing, and
Mm-hmm.
all of this and all of that. And that was more than Wizard had been doing up to that point. And so, there was a learning process there between me and the designers. And again, tech came in to do some things for, how do we write these quests? All of that stuff. How do I write the quest doc so that the designers can implement it right?
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing is, things like stand-ins and the advanced camera stuff. Wizard went and took it and did great things with
Mm-hmm.
it, and now has a better camera system than Pirate does. So we're actually hoping that we can take some of that stuff and backwards port it back into Pirate,
Mm-hmm.
so that future scenes can be more complex. Yeah, we basically asked a lot out of the narrative, and in many cases we created tech solutions to do things that Wizard had never done before, and they were successful enough that Wizard started doing them too.
Uh-huh. Oh wow. Yeah. I just remember the what was it? The Captain Gun quest with the camera all going around and doing your like mermaid thing, and then that was such like an interesting quest line. I remember. I don't think I'd ever really see that in early worlds for Wiz, so it
Yeah,
was very cool. Yeah.
yeah, the little island with the crazy Rube Goldberg mousetrap puzzle.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that was one of my favorite experiences with Wizard, or excuse me, with Pirate, was going. You know what? I'm writing this story. Parts where we go, it's like I don't know how we're gonna do this, but I'm gonna write it anyway. And like Stupendor X was a huge one of that, where it's like I don't know how we're gonna do this, but this is what I want. I want a giant robot to fight
Yeah.
Stormzilla, and we're in Japan, so it has to happen. And looking back on that one was rough, because it took a lot of work to figure out how to do it and then to actually do it. And then it took even more work after that to make it balanced and fun and worth doing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that one I feel kind of bad about. But then, when we did Aquila, I wanted to do Scylla and Charybdis. And I said, this is what I want. And within 48 hours, the designers had come up with a way to do it,
Ah.
and it was great. And basically, it's the way that they do like stationary stations that can fire at your ship.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we put a ship there, but there's no body on the ship. There's just the little AI that shoots. And so when you get near it, it has aggro and you can't hurt it. And so, thus Scylla is spewing all the little crabs at you.
Mm-hmm.
And they put it on Bastion in Marleybone. And, as I was playing through it on my first review, I'm going through and I'm fighting some Armada ships and I'm zipping past the ships. And then I got close to Bastion, and it just blew the hell out of my ship and knocked me down to 20% health in like a second. And I was like, oh my God. And I hit Z and just zoomed straight to the dock. And I was like, wow, that is exactly how I wanted that to feel. Woo! That doesn't happen too often in game design, where you imagine something and you get it on the first try. That was really cool. So there you go.
Yeah, no, I like all those like unique fights, especially the one in Aquila, was such like a interesting thing, and like the waves of crabs just like going on your ship, and then you finally have to defeat all the. I think like there were little heads or something. I don't remember. It was very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So yeah, that was that was a great part of my experience on Pirate. Was every now and then having a shtick, and uh, now admittedly I was a young foolish dev back then, and now I have a much greater respect for time and budget and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so only occasionally will I go, you know what? I don't know how we're going to do this, but here, now I'm much more like, what's this going to cost? Okay. Yeah, I think we could do that. And that's the difference between,
Uh-huh.
pre-launch and live support.
Yeah. Okay, so this one is the last question. I think this one was interesting. They basically just he talked about how they blocked certain areas, so then the pirates don't go to like places they shouldn't be going to. Which me and my brother, when we used to quest, I would teleport my max to the Valencia Part 2 like main place, whatever it's called, Sylvia. I don't know. But and then we would get the Calibria's Grand Tourist badge and get like 4,000 XP instantly. And yeah, I can understand why that's a little overpowered, and that probably shouldn't be in the game. Teleporting is kind of overpowered in that sense. But because they didn't want to work on a base world model, because we go back to worlds and stuff and whatnot. So I really like that. We have skyways blocked off, and like different content is different, where you go, and talked about instances, I think, right? Maybe not. At some point they talked about instances, where like everything changes, when you go in like Cortez throne room and whatnot. No, it's very cool. And the whole like blockade with like the Frog Father, I think they did that really well. The only blockade that I hate is, again, this is like Wendigoon's Giants thing. I keep bringing it up. It's wild. If you're watching this whole video, again, Monquista, that's not a... You can't do that. Please. Please. I ask... The day that Monquista gets a second Skyway is the day that I was going to say die happy, but that's not okay. The day I'll be happy. I am happy. I'm fine. But very happy that day. I'll be like, yippee, I will jump with jubilation, as I said previously. So... but let me talk about the actual question again. So they, which was surprising, Wiz actually stole Pirate's camera model, because the camera, like, does different things, and, pans to, like, companions that, other players can't see. They stole it, and then now it's better, which photomancy, exists as well. So now they're trying to port camera stuff to Pirate, which photomancy in Pirate 101 confirmed? No, I don't know. That'd be really cool. I'd love that, but maybe just more like smooth stuff. I actually don't really know too much because I don't look at the later. I my highest level is like a level 100 Wiz, so I could not tell you what's going on with that, but I'd like to see better camera stuff. Photomancy, please.
And on that note, Wizard was very lucky in its huge success. But usually with an MMO, teams don't get bigger after launch; they get smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really have to pick our battle when it comes to the razzmatazz, and the razzle dazzle stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But and right now, Pirate is still getting its feet under us, and I know we've said that for a long time, but it's still true. Back when we announced that we were going to start supporting it again, I know there was a lot of hurry up and wait, and I apologize for the delays there.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I think we are finally getting a release cadence under us, and we're putting stuff out.
Yeah.
And then the question is going to become, how big can these chunks be? How much razzmatazz can they have in them? And then, the other stuff that involves tech and whatnot. can we get that stuff online?
Mm-hmm.
And the process may still be slow, but stick with us, and go out and get your friends, because I know, in a matter of weeks there will be a pirate update that will have a
Oh,
lot of content in it. And
exciting.
yes, I am not sure in terms of fights and quests and all of that how it compares to the Marleybone part, but I know in terms of raw lines of dialogue, it has a lot more talking than the Marleybone thing we did last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's a lot of jokes, and I hope they land.
Yeah.
So that's where we are now, and there will be more about said update very soon, I think.
Very cool. Yeah, that'll be cool
Yeah,
to
yeah.
see. I think that's all I have for you. Thank you for coming on
Cool.
again, and thank you for dropping that an update's gonna happen soon. I can't wait to see that. That's gonna be very exciting.
I cannot say when, but I know it will be before summer. So there you
Perfect.
go.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good
Yeah.
timeline. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Wizard Spring release is, it and the Pirate Spring release are dancing with each other, figuring out how they're going to work together.
Okay.
So there you go.
Yep. Okay, here we go. One more. Hades, bring me oblivion. Let me drink from the river Lead and forget this wasted life.
Let's get on to the outro. I guess I can just kind of combine this. Let me fake a cut. Watch this. All right, so the outro. This is where I give you the juicy stuff. You probably should have already heard it. You've definitely already heard it. I don't know what you guys. Why am I here? Anyways, in the matter of weeks, there will be a Pirate 101 update, and it's gonna be lots of content. It's gonna happen before summer. And it's going to be a lot more talking than Sindbad Part 1 and 2. I think it's going to be about the same as 3, or maybe a little bit more than 3. And lots of jokes. W, we love that. And more on the update very soon. So we might be getting some teasers very, very soon, which is very exciting. I love teasers so much, even though I already know what it's going to be. But it's cool to see, It's going to be before summer. Wiz and Pirate are dancing with each other to figure out where they're going. So, basically, spring update. Wiz and Pirate are see when they're going to release. So it could happen near Wiz's spring update, which do I know when that is? No. I'm a Pirate 101 YouTuber. But it should be interesting. And yeah, it's going to be very good. All right, so you just heard the voice line. This is the outro. What'd you think? The whole Hades thing, I think it confirms Tartarus is completely, yes, that is the final thing. It's confirmed. We are going to Tartarus, and I think that's so cool. And oh boy, I can't even imagine. I mean, I personally, which I feel like this is kind of embarrassing, I've never done the Hades dungeon in Wiz. I've only done up to Poseidon, so I don't know what that consists of. So it's gonna be a surprise to me. I will try and stream it, or maybe do a video with the rookie, because I was gonna say I was gonna do that. Now has the rookie been active? A little bit, so we'll see how it goes. I'll play it by ear. I got some more videos lined up before that, obviously, so stay tuned. If you like this video, obviously I don't make exclusive interviews every day, but if you can withstand my voice and find Pirate 101 interesting, stick around. If you're here, if you watch the whole thing, or even if you just skip to the voice line, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's really all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed. That's what I'm gonna say. Hope you enjoyed. It was super interesting to do it. Thank you, Sam Johnson, for popping by and giving me this interview. It was very helpful. This whole thing is so substantive, and I hope this is revealing for the Part 101 community about the story beat that everyone guessed. But it's still cool to see that it's confirmed, basically. So that's pretty cool. And thank you, Hercules, Chris, for orchestrating all this and getting us to do it. He's like, so you want to you want to grow your channel, eh? And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, that sounds awesome. Let's do it. So thank you both for that. I appreciate it. And thank you for watching. You guys are awesome. So I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.